listen to the reports from the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operations of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the State Government Code on Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in public, not a meeting of the public. As our guests, you are welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask for order periodically should I notice that disruptions are interfering with our recording capabilities. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome from the entire school board. Thank you for your interest in Judson ISD. We have established a quorum, and I will call roll. Mr. Diaz?
Rafa Diaz here.
Mr. Macias?
Present.
Ms. Canoyer?
Present.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Present.
Ms. King?
Present.
Is Ms. Eaton present tonight? She's absent?
She was supposed to log in, ma'am, but she hasn't, so it could be weather-related.
I am Renee Pichelle and present, and to my immediate left is the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jeanette Ball.
Welcome.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for our invocation and the pledges?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking for your continued blessing and protection as we come together for this meeting. Clear our hearts and mind, God, and allow us to conduct ourselves and our work with a spirit of joy, enthusiasm, and thanksgiving for this great responsibility you have placed upon us. Please bless each and every person in attendance and the communities they represent. We ask these and all things in the name of Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
At this time, we will have recognitions.
Yes, hello, good evening. We do have one special recognition this evening. I'd like to call up Gavin Larson to join me. Each year, or every year, each student in the state of Texas, they are required to take an end-of-the-year test called the STAR test. Testing is a part of life. Even adults take tests to get their driver's license, sometimes to get promotions, and it is just a way for you to, the STAR test is a way for us to see if our students are doing really well in school. The goal is to make sure that each child is learning what he or she should be and is on track to graduate from high school ready for college and a career. Last year, one of our students took 3 STAR tests in reading, math, and science. And through all of the challenges that we faced, a global pandemic, a massive snowstorm, having to deal with virtual and in-person instruction, this student scored 100% on not on one test, not on 2 tests, on all 3 of those STAR tests. He earned the highest performance level that can be achieved on these assessments. So I'd like to introduce again and recognize this student for his amazing accomplishment. His name is Gavin Larson. He comes from Wortham Oaks Elementary. One of his teachers sent me a little statement she wanted me to read, and it's, oh, please. Gavin is a student who has exhibited the wow factor at Wortham Oaks Elementary. He is self-motivated and places challenges upon himself quite frequently. He is an avid reader and participated in clubs such as robotics, National Elementary Honor Society, and WOW TV. Next year, Gavin will attend the Judson STEM Academy as a sixth grader. He has set many goals and dreams for himself, and we have no doubt that he will be successful in reaching them. Congratulations, Gavin. Yes. Miss Netta, and also Gavin's parents are here. We can give them a round of applause as well. And we'll just take a couple of pictures. Thank you so much.
At this time, we will acknowledge our visitors. There are quite a few that have signed up. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. And our first person is Kathy Bramble, Candlewood.
So my name is Kathy Bramble, and I just wanted to introduce you to one of my students who's now 15. This is Dulcie, and her parents wanted to speak tonight but didn't have a chance to, so I just wanted her to come up here with me, give me some support. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Ball, and families and fellow educators. I am a Judson graduate, and I graduated in 1984, which was the first to re-win state. And we are a very tight-knit community, and not only are we so tight-knit, we're kind of family. As a matter of fact, I went to elementary school with Miss Holmes, and I went to middle school and high school, and we even got married on the same day at the same church. So that tells you what a small world it is. So I went to college, to become a teacher, and I always knew I wanted to be a teacher because that was something that was just in my heart. And so it was Live Oak at the time. I used to go down there after school and go in the dumpster and pull out all the old papers teachers threw away. And I would go home and pretend I was a teacher. and spread them out all over my room and be the teacher. So it's always been my dream to be a teacher. Sorry. I was very excited that I got hired in the Judson School District at Candlewood Elementary School at a time when people would say, well, I was so excited, and people said, oh my God, Candlewood, that's the armpit of Judson. That's where you go when you're in trouble. That's where you go when you've done things wrong. But I was so excited to be there, and I've been there for 21 years. I remain loyal to my school and my community. I have been steadfast while going through multiple changes in administration and the disruption that those changes can sometimes cause. I have worked for 10 different principals, and I have been loyal to every single one of them. I have earned a lot of awards and recognitions. I have the TA Pre-K Gold Standard Award. I was Distinguished Educator 2 times, and this year I was the Spirited Judson Award winner, which, as you know, a lot of teachers have to put you in for that, and then you are picked. I have shown consistent and substantial growth in my student scores. I've taught summer school every single year. As a matter of fact, I was only doing the first session of summer school, and I got a call late on Friday night that said, hey, can you teach the second session? And it started Monday, and I did, because that's what I do. I feel like the kids are my family. We are public servants, and we're dedicated to the families of Candlewood. Due to COVID, this was an extremely difficult year for all educators. We endured learning how to teach virtually while simultaneously teaching face-to-face, in addition to posting videotape lessons daily for our synchronous learners. Every month, we created packets for these students to pick up the learning so that they could have the materials at home. And despite these obstacles, we persevered and continued to create an environment where our students, both face-to-face and virtually, felt like family. The positive learning experience of the children has always been my #1 goal.
Ms. Bramble, I'm so sorry that your time is up. Can you just wrap it up and tell us your main
well, Ms.
purpose?
Jones and I share the responsibilities in our COVID land this year. She's a lot younger than me, but we were able to integrate a lot of different things that I learned from her, as well as things she learned from me. One of the areas that we really excelled in was phonemic awareness, which is the foundation of literacy. And it's always been the #1 thing that the district needs us to do.
Thank you, Ms. Bramble. I'm so sorry to have to cut you.
All right.
Next, we have Shauna Jones, Candlewood Elementary.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, families, Dr. Ball. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you on behalf of Mrs. Bramble. I am a product of Judson ISD. I began my journey with Judson in 4th grade at Park Village Elementary, then went on to Kirby and graduated from Judson in 2001. I played 4 years varsity softball there, and my team actually held the record all the way up until this year when the girls softball team almost won state. I was so proud of them. But what I learned from that is teamwork. I've always valued teamwork. I understand the importance of working well with others despite any differences. We were always able to push those differences aside and have each other's back on the field. The work environment in teaching is very similar, as we are placed on teams and we share common goals, such as the achievements of our students. Unfortunately, this year, one of our teammates was very unhappy and unable to function in that setting. I was fortunate to be able to directly observe Mrs. Bramble's teaching practices this year. We were in an environment where we were co-teaching, and what I respect most about Mrs. Bramble is that her #1 goal is always the experience of the student. So let me give you an example. Around Christmas time, I was not excited about baking cookies in the classroom, but Mrs. Bramble insisted that many of our students would not have the opportunity to have that experience. So I offered her several different options that we could do rather than rolling dough, cutting cookies, and baking cookies in the classroom. When I saw the children's excitement and I saw how much We were able to incorporate academic lessons with that, such as measurements in math. We talked about how the dough changes forms due to the heat, so that was science. We were able to hit language arts by reading several different versions of The Gingerbread Man. That's important to me because she finds fun ways for the students to learn. And those experiences really help them to excel. And you will see that in both of our scores this year. I've been teaching for 6 years and only 2 of them at Candlewood. I love the community so much that I enrolled 2 of my own children there. But now, due to one individual who has used others to coordinate secret meetings between disgruntled employees, AFT union reps, and Dr. Ball, we were given reassignments without real reason as to why we are being reassigned. Prior to our reassignments, there were 12 openings and several teachers on the transfer list at Candlewood. After these meetings occurred, 4 pre-K teachers, including myself, Mrs. Bramble, Miss Nesby, and Miss Nikki Bramble, were reassigned, leaving 16 openings at Candlewood, and we feel that that was due to retribution of the one individual who was disgruntled on our team. What I would like to say is our only goal in doing this and appearing here today is to be placed back at Candlewood and to remain at Candlewood. Mrs. Bramble has been there for 20 years. She has only a few years left before she retires. Respectfully, I implore you to reconsider your decision and allow her to finish her career at the school where she started.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Next, we have Nikki Bramble, Candlewood.
Hello, I'm Nikki. I go by Miss Nikki with the kids. I graduated Judson in 2013 as a varsity cheerleader, and throughout high school I did softball as well. I was a paraprofessional, or I have been a paraprofessional for 2 years at Candlewood, working with my mother. I've watched my mom work through going through cancer, and the only day she missed was surgery. She would come home on the weekends and sleep the entire weekend, but Monday morning came and she was there. I watched her work through the loss of my grandmother as I took a week and a half off. She passed on Friday, my mom was back at work on Monday. My mom truly does put these children first. I grew up watching my mom for Christmas pick a family that wasn't gonna have the best Christmas, and we would go to Walmart and get groceries and toys for these kids. This year in our class, we had a little boy who didn't have shoes that always fit his feet. Came from a big family, so that day, my mom on her lunch break went and got him shoes so that he could play outside on the playground for feet. So his feet weren't okay. Or feet were okay, I'm sorry. We always make our students a priority. We have genuine people with genuine interactions to help improve the lives of students at a campus which has been deemed by our district as hard to staff. We are a huge part of the Candlewood family. To this day, we have not been given a clear answer as to why we are being reassigned. We're teachers that want to be at Candlewood, and that's hard to find, I believe. We're asking that you remain. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I don't like to speak in front of people. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. We just wanted our voices heard, and I know my mom loves Candlewood. I have grown to love Candlewood the last 2 years, and to see someone who's been there for over 21 years go is really sad. So I just ask that you hear our voices today.
Thank you. Next, we have Karen Mcconnell, Educational Support.
When I think of Candlewood, I think of Kathy Bramble. Unlike Kathy, I did not ever play teacher. I always played CEO. I would take office supplies from my parents' businesses. So when I did start teaching, though, in 2001 at Pichelle Elementary as a special education teacher, I met Kathy. I would go and observe kiddos that were at her campus that would be coming to mine, and I was in awe of her classroom and the environment. It was always really inviting and comfortable, and I wanted to be a pre-K student. So she knew her families, she knew the students, she knew everything about them. She knew their situations, but most importantly, in the school setting, she knew their learning style. Even my special ed kiddos, she knew them. And that always was so near and dear to my heart because I loved my special ed kiddos. At the end of the school year, Kathy would always send me a message about the students that were coming to my classroom, their likes, their dislikes, what helped them excel, what motivated them. She would send me everything that she had in her bag of tricks. Kathy was always there for the students, any student. I worked closely with Kathy during extended school year, which is summer school for special ed students. As a gen ed teacher, not many gen ed teachers would step into the special ed world. They leave that mostly to the special ed teachers. Kathy is the one who would do that. I have not met another gen ed teacher who would teach ESY. As far as educator goes, Kathy is one of a kind. In 2009, I had the opportunity to open an Apple unit. So that is, I hope everybody knows, that's an autistic unit. And I was a PPCD teacher. So I was a bit out of my element because they're little and they're pre-K kiddos. And I was a little bit nervous about that. Autism, I had autism in the bag. I was getting a graduate degree in autism, but the preschool age kiddos was a little out of my comfort zone. But what I thought about, I was sitting there thinking about the pre-K kiddos, and then I was like, who do I have as a resource? And I thought, duh, Kathy. So I went to Kathy's classroom once again, and this time I took notes and I gathered ideas of how to implement that pre-K curriculum in my classroom. Kathy is the epitome of education. She helps whenever and wherever she can. It doesn't matter the school district, she's in education to help all. Also, Kathy brings field trips to the school. I know there's been a zoo there, she's brought the rodeo, she even brought the VIA bus and had the kids go through a VIA bus and safety things on the bus. She shared with me special ed field trips. We went down to the Alamo Dome one time for a fiesta event, and I was able to take several other schools with me. When anything is asked, Kathy steps up. When others hold back, Kathy steps in. She has been at Candlewood since her career started and is known. She has also been through several administrators, all while teaching her pre-K students and volunteering to help at Candlewood.
Ms. Mcconnell, your time is up.
Okay, can I just finish? It's just 2 more sentences. She is a beacon of the community. Some might think Kathy is a favorite on campus. I would call those labeling Kathy a favorite, that they are envious of her skills and abilities. Kathy is not getting favored or special attention or privileges. Kathy goes above and beyond as an educator. We all know Hartman will welcome her and do well. She is Kathy Bramble.
Thank you,
My
ma'am.
question is what is Candlewood going to do without Kathy Bramble? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Adela Adams. Pardon me?
Oh, yes. Board member in real quick? Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry, it's on this side. Oh, I got it, I think. Let me just check. Give me 1 second, ma'am. No. Ms. Eaton, I just want to double check that you can hear me. Board member, Ms. Deborah Eaton, can you hear me? Mr. Macias, if you're in communication with her, can you ask her? But could she hear me? Let me try again. Miss Eaton, I'm double checking if you can hear me. Can you ask her to check her mute? Oh, okay, no problem. No. Right, but if she can't hear me, I don't know. I'll try. Miss Eaton, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but can you double check your mute? We've double checked ours. You're not on mute. And we did. We let her in. Yep, we did. We did let her in, but Okay. Miss Eaton, I'm double checking if you can hear us. Miss Eaton? Miss Eaton, double checking if you can hear us. Miss
That sounds like
Miss Eaton, this is Dr. Ball, if you can hear us. Board Member Deborah Eaton.
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Okay, ma'am, we are going to, it is 6:31. Miss Eaton, please say that you're present.
Deborah Eaton is present.
Thank you, ma'am. Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Ball.
No problem. You have to speak right in here so she can hear. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Adela Adams. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit emotional. I've been a resident in the Justice School just for 10 years. And this little girl right here, along with these 4 right over there, are my children, and they've all, except for her, have been with Miss Bramble. Thank you. They've been with Miss Bramble, and I can say she's a good teacher. She's been very helpful. 3 years ago, I went through a bad divorce, and she has helped me go through it as far as taking care of my children when I wasn't able to, as far as emotionally. I know it's personal, but, you know, as a single parent, it is difficult at times when you have a lot of things going on at home and with the children and so forth. So her and her staff have stepped up, and without asking, of course, and saying, you know, let me help you with the children with extra work, because I was so busy trying to figure things out. We had to move out of our home. She helped us tremendously, just that support, knowing that I can go to her, and she is family. She makes a warm welcome for my children. They're all excited to go, with the exception of this little one just yet, hoping that you can be able to reverse the decision you have made, and not only for my daughter, but for the children to come, because she is very loving and helpful, and it's always a warm welcome, you know, with her, and that's in that classroom. My kids always have a good learning experience, you know, and she breaks everything down for them, and I have no complaints. I'm very grateful that she has been there for them and for the other children, because I see her as family. She's always been making us feel welcome and always eager to help the children, and I would just love for her to stay so she can continue to teach the remaining of her time that she has in her career there. And all I can say is that I really do appreciate what you have done for me and my children, because it helped very much. It was a very hard time for me. It was my lowest point in my life, but by the grace of God and people like her have helped me build myself back up, and also set an example for my children. There are still good people in this world, and she is one of them. You know, I was really hoping that she will continue to teach at Candlewood. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tandra Palmer, Learning and Development.
Hello, everyone. I'm kind of short, so let me lean in, and I'm losing my voice. Please forgive me. So this year was a little bit different for me. My experience with the teachers here has been a little different. So I'm not actually a parent. I'm the aunt of Amaya and Amani. Amaya and Amani were recently pulled from their mother's home temporarily, and they came to stay with us. So we were doing online learning. Ms. Jones and Ms. Bramble went above and beyond to make sure they had a good learning experience. When the two of them came to us, they were extremely behind. They didn't know a lot of the basics. I'm trying not to be emotional. Ms. Jones and Ms. Bramble, they made sure to help them, make sure they had a personalized learning plan so that they could get caught up. Sorry. They're two of the most wonderful individuals. My husband just retired from the Air Force, so we've traveled a lot, and I've seen a lot of different teachers along the way. These two ladies have just really gone above and beyond to make sure every student stays up with curriculum and everything. And I know that with it being virtual learning, it's not always easy to balance and to make sure that each student is understanding. So I'm just so thankful to have had them this year. And I hope that you will rethink your decision because they are amazing. They were one constant for these two children along the way. And I just so thankful for them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Ken Bramble, Ethics.
My name is Ken Bramble, and I am here to talk about ethics, and by my last name, you're probably thinking I'm here to talk about somebody else, and I think your ears are pretty worn out. Okay, I am a past city councilman for the city of Live Oak, and I currently am on the ethics review board for the city. I believe this is my 4th year. What I'm speaking about is a situation where the Judson HR department was exhausted with unfound complaints against my wife. And then I'm actually going to talk about ethics. As all the board members here know, they have to recuse themselves for anything that is of personal monetary value, anything that has to do with them personally. They have to recuse themselves and they cannot act on it. So now we have an individual who has worn out the HR department at Judson, and they misuse their office as a union rep and solicit the help of other union members to organize a secret meeting with senior administration at Judson, and without even referring to the principal or anything else, are doing their due diligence and their fiduciary duties for the school district to make a proper decision, has failed. I think you need a little bit of ethics training for your union reps, and maybe y'all need an ethics department at Judson, because somebody failed to look at the issues. You had 4 teachers, and I'm not saying that the person I'm talking about is racist or anything. The individual who misused their position as a union rep and got all this rolling and did the secret meeting, well, yeah, 4 teachers were all transferred. And every Anglo teacher in the pre-K at Candlewood was removed. Later on, other transfers came out. I wonder what the dates on those transfers are, because it seems like it's muddying waters. I'm just pointing out the facts that you should all look into. I'm not here to talk about my wife. I'm here to talk about ethics and the lack of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bramble. Lastly, we have Mr. Curtis. Oh, I'm sorry. Speaking on my child's teacher and virtual learning.
So, hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Jamisa Curtis. To be honest, I'm not much of a public speaker. I just came here because I wanted to talk about my experience with my teacher and with my son's teacher, as well as my experience with the virtual learning this past school year. So, my son, this is his first year in school in general, period. He was going to Candlewood. Ms. Bramble was his teacher, and of course, she co-taught with Ms. Jones and Ms. Nikki, and he loved it. Like, he was so nervous about going. I first heard about Judson Independent School District back in 2006 when my dad retired from the military. Then I came out here for college. My younger siblings attended Judson School District, and they both graduated from here. I left, moved away, went to the military. I decided to move back. When I decided to move back, I wanted to be in Judson Independent School District because over the years you meet a lot of people, and education is really big. A lot of people do not go far enough because they don't have the right education. So when I met Ms. Bramble for the first time, first I got a phone call, and I was like, wow, I've never heard of a teacher like making sure we have a means to connect fully and, you know, meet. And especially with the pandemic going on, I was nervous about my son virtual learning. He was going through a hard time because I'm sick, and so my son was going through trying to transition from that. His father is still serving, so he's not here, he's not around. So for him, he was nervous about meeting his teachers. Will they like me? Will I be okay? He was having behavioral problems at home, where I was literally getting counseling for him. When he went to school, he stayed virtual longer than a lot of the kids just because of my own illnesses. But once he finally went to school, his behavior totally changed. He never got in trouble. I'm like, my child? Like, okay, like, all right, man, something's right. Something's going on. Something changed in him because all the stuff that he had going on at home, when he went to school, it was like his outlet. He loved it. All he could talk about was Miss Bramble, Miss Bramble, Miss Bramble. Oh, holidays came up, anything. Oh, we got to get Miss Bramble this. He wanted to pick every individual thing for all his teachers. Every time something came up, he chose his own gifts for them. He remembered their favorite colors, what they like to drink. He knows all of that. He knows Miss Bramble likes pink. What I'm trying to say is, I don't understand why they're leaving. He's excited about school starting, and his first mind is school start tomorrow? When does it start? Am I going to get to see Miss Bramble and Miss Jones? And now I don't know how to break it to him that he won't.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes all of the public addresses. We will now move on to item 4, consideration of the consent items. And I'll go ahead and read those. If there are any that need to be pulled, please let me know. Item 4A, consider and take action regarding approving the minutes from the regular board meeting that was held on June the 24th and the special meeting that was held June 29th, 2021. B, consider and take action regarding approving the expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. C, consider and take action regarding approving the monthly financial information as of May 31st, 2021. D, consider and take action regarding approving the cooperative purchasing management fees report. E, consider and take action approving a resolution by the Board of Trustees of the Judson Independent School District providing for the defeasance and the calling of the redemption of certain currently outstanding obligations designated as Judson Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2013A, and Judson Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2014, and other matters in connection therewith. F, consider and take action regarding approving the ranking for request for proposal employee medical insurance coverage. Is there a motion for items A through E?
I move we approve items A through E.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. And we will start with Ms. Eaton. Ms. Eaton, what say you? Mr. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Macias?
Sorry
Aye.
about that. Sorry, I was trying to get to the button.
Ms.
Aye.
Canoyer?
Aye, I'm sorry.
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Eaton is on the record for saying aye. Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item F, consider and take action regarding approving the ranking for request for proposal employee medical insurance coverage. Mr. Macias?
Yes, I've heard of a lot of good things regarding this, but obviously this is an item that has high interest for our employees, and so I'd like sort of a recap on this wonderful plan that's going to happen to help our employees.
Yes, sir, thank you. So as you probably know, or many of you might know, I wanted to share with you that we started a committee to make sure we address our insurance. Our insurance is something that's very important to our employees. So we had a committee composed of several individuals that looked at several different plans and ultimately wanting to bring the best plan for our district. And I would like to ask Mr. Atkins to give a view of those specific highlights.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, Board, Dr. Ball. First, I'd like, if there's any committee members, I know there's one in the audience that was on the committee, stand up, or two of them, good. Because at three, Ms. Canoyer and Ms. Eaton was on the committee as well. And it was a long journey, but we challenged Brown and Brown, Pat McMahon, Travis Tucker, to bring us some options because we knew I've never brought an insurance renewal where I said the rates are going down in my career. Never. Never. And so I said, we can't continue to do this for our employees. We need to have some options. So they went out and looked, and we looked at fully insured, which is what we were, and we got rates. Then we look at self-insured with the exact same plans, with the same benefits. And then we looked at a relatively new plan that's just kind of getting started, and it's called reference-based pricing. And ultimately, the committee decided to go with the self-insured. And so the plan is almost identical to the plan we had this year as far as benefits, but the premium drop was 7%. So the same benefits, we're going to be with Humana. Humana will administer the plan, but we will actually be paying the bills. And so at the end of the year, if there's savings, we can keep those savings, and that helps us to keep rates down. So that's, if there's any other questions I can answer.
That sounds really good. What is our commitment with the insurance? How much are we paying into it now?
Currently, whether we go fully insured or this plan, it costs about $15 million to fully fund it. And so if we are fully insured, we pay the $15 million no matter what. If we're self-insured and our claims are only $14 million, then we retain $1 million. And so that's where we're at.
I guess my last question would be, Edgewood had, ISD,
yes,
had a similar plan, and obviously it went reverse for them, and they had a liability on their hands. Are we safe from that possibly occurring here?
Yeah, one of the things we want to make sure we do is that we're fully funding the plan. And so we're fully funding to our stopgap. We actually will have stopgap insurance. So if we have a single claim that goes over a certain amount, we have insurance that kicks in, picks that up. And so that gives us a way to calculate, this is the number of employees on it. If every one of them hit the stopgap, this is where we'd be.
And then I did have one other thought. The percentage of our employees that utilized the plan last year, what was it?
Out of the 3,400 employees, about 2,200 were on our health insurance.
So we probably would see an increase, you would imagine, this year, or has the benefit already been out there?
I'm hoping we can see an increase because that helps our rates too. But I think a lot of people, they're either spouses, they're retired, medical, or they're military. I mean, some of them just have insurance other places.
Enrollment is in October, though, right? Or when is?
Yes, I think October, right? Yes,
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Is there a motion for item F?
I move we approve the ranking for request for proposal employee medical insurance coverage.
I will second it. Excuse me, not all in favor. We'll start with Mr. Diaz. Mr. Diaz, what say you?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Mr. Macias?
I think you'll get all in favor, but yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
For Eaton.
Would you repeat that, please?
Eaton.
I think that I think that's an aye.
I said yes.
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you. You were breaking up a little bit, Ms. Eaton. And Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5, discussion, consideration of action items. 5A, consider and take possible action regarding the approval of an order calling a bond election to be held by the Judson Independent School District, making provision for the conduct of a joint election and resolving other matters incident and related to such an election. Dr. Ball?
Yes, thank you, Board. Again, several months ago, and the time goes by quick, we started a committee, and this committee was to look at the growth and the planning for the growth of our district.
Excuse me, Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Ball, one moment, please. Okay, all right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. We appreciate it. I'm sorry, go right ahead, Dr. Ball.
No problem. And we could, just not to confuse anybody, we could leave the doors open now, just so everybody knows that we're still in open session, and I don't want anybody to think we're enclosed. It was just for me to be able to hear earlier. So as I was saying, that several months ago, it was really exciting because we started a committee for our growth and planning. We had several individuals from the district that are also here in our audience, not only employees, but also community members, parents, business individuals, and also 2 board members that started the work with us for this committee. And we talked about lots of things that you will hear about, but I want to start off by talking about the purpose and the why behind things. So one of the things that the board has tasked me with is looking and seeing that Judson ISD is truly, whether we call it a district of choice, a destination district, the preferred district, but that we do everything possible to make sure that we're competitive across not only Bexar County, but the state of Texas, that what we can provide for our students is at least equal to or even better than any other school district in Texas. So we started to look at the growth that our district is experiencing, the programs we have, the programs other school districts have, and see what is it that we want for Judson ISD. So in the next slide, you'll see a cute illustration about the future. All of you know that here at Judson, we have our future leaders. I've already predicted earlier in this meeting our valedictorian. We have our students, and we want our students to stay in our district. And the only way we can get them to stay is by providing them the very best. And then we also have to look for our graduates that are coming. So when we started this work, we had an individual that came to help us out so we could make sure that we're allowing all the voices to be heard. And this isn't just Jeanette Ball's plan, but this is a plan that's truly comprehensive and inclusive of the entire district. So that's where Carr Hornbuckle came in to start to help us and guide us through our work. So I'm going to ask him to continue to help us.
Thank you, Dr. Ball.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, members of the community as well. You may recall that I first met you all in March. We worked together, 6 of us worked together, through a workshop to help define the framework that we would use ultimately with our committee to think about what it is we want to accomplish together. And this information is what you all helped develop for us as our guidance, thinking about what would be most important, not just for the Judson of today, but like Dr. Ball is saying, the Judson of tomorrow. Where do we go with this? How do we start to dream big? And we had a committee that was formed from people throughout our community. They met 7 times. So we've been together 7 times since spring break, working through many different issues, visiting campuses across the district, talking about a lot of different data, a lot of academic opportunities, and fundamentally understanding exactly what it is that the district is looking to accomplish, what it is we want to be doing. Of the many people who took part through all of these meetings, some of them are actually able to be here tonight, and I wanted to take a chance, if you all would be willing to stand, so that you could be recognized, the members of our Growth and Planning Committee who are here with us tonight. I'm really grateful for their time because they're the ones who really represent everyone in your district that you care about. My role here was simply to help guide the conversation as it went along, and be sure that we were hearing everything we needed to hear, getting all of the questions answered that were asked as best we could, so that we were making good plans for the future. I think it's important to say that what we heard the most from this committee was that we're really looking at every school and every student, that this is not something that needs to be local. It's something that everyone would benefit. Any initiative that we take on is an opportunity for everyone to benefit, both in the classroom and in life, I would say. We work together towards presenting a list of itemized needs in various categories, and we asked the committee to take this list and evaluate it and think about how they would identify from it what would be most important. And what we did with that list, we took 16 out of 20 or 21 items and said these can fit within a certain financial framework that would become the idea, if you will, for a potential bond election. And so what we're bringing to you tonight is a recommendation for your consideration about what such a bond might look like that encompasses these 16 items from the committee's review. And with that, I'm going to ask my colleague Helen Keaton, who's the Executive Director of Facilities, to come forward and talk with you about the propositions that are being made this evening for your consideration.
Thank you, Carr. Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Ball, members of the board. Tonight we bring you a recommendation for a proposed bond. It would be divided into 3 propositions. Proposition A would be a general proposition. Proposition B would be playfield improvements. And Proposition C would be technology. So Proposition A is the general proposition. It is for items included in Proposition A would be the future new schools, new academic programs, needed updates to infrastructure and equipment, and air conditioning at all the gymnasiums. So those are just some of the general things in Prop A. Proposition B would be playfield improvements at all 3 high school campuses, and Proposition C would be technology, infrastructure, and devices. And just so that you have a general idea, we've added up the numbers. So Proposition A, which is the general proposition, would be an amount of $252,300,000. Proposition B, which is the playfield improvements, would be $14,900,000, and Proposition C, which is technology, is $35,200,000. 300. The total of those being $302,500,000. So what you'll see is we've gone back and just to look at the list of the original 16 items that the committee brought forward. Item 2, which is the technology, infrastructure, and hardware, is Proposition C. Item number 12, which is the playfields, tennis court improvements, will be Proposition B. And then all other items out of the 16 are included in Proposition A. So the next slide is the defeasance schedule. And the way we're looking at this is 3 bond sales. What this shows is that we have the capacity to do all 3 propositions with no tax rate increase. This assumes moderate increases in property rate and growth. The proposed sale for 2022 would be $117,500,000. The proposed sale in 2023 would be $115 million, and proposed sale in 2024 would be $70 million.
We asked one of our committee members, Marissa Terry, if she would be willing to come forward as well and speak on behalf of the committee to you all tonight.
And also Mr. Adams will also.
Okay, great. We have 2 speakers.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to come tonight. My name is Stacy Adams. I am the proud father of 2 boys that have graduated from Judson High School. Both play in the basketball program. I am the president of the Athletic Booster Club for Judson High School as well, and so very proud to be on the Growth and Planning Committee. Just want to take just a second to talk about some important things that our committee group have talked about and discovered with the Growth and Planning Committee. It was important to us in the committee to make sure that the committee was addressing the needs and the deficiencies in our schools. One of the things that we talked about was no one wants to have PE in a gym that is unconditioned. We have to make sure that every student in our district have the same advantages and same opportunities. We should provide the type of schools that each student deserves in the Judson ISD district. Secondly, all students need to have the necessities that were addressed in the proposal, like air conditioning, replacing outdated equipment. We have to keep up with technology, which is ever-changing. Actually, I think that we should do more than keep up with technology. Judson should be a destination, a distinct in our district, whereas we are ahead of the curve. I'd like to thank you for your time and your ears. Again, my name is Stacy Adams.
My name is Marissa Terry. I am also not a public speaker, as many of the people that have spoken tonight have said. But I really enjoyed being on the Growth and Planning Committee. I was initially called because I live in a community in which we need a middle school, and so that's initially kind of the groundwork of what I came in on. But it expanded so much further, and I got to tour schools that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to see things that are needed that I otherwise wouldn't have known were needed. And it was an amazing committee to be a part of, and the bond proposal accomplishes so many things. When I saw that list and how we had itemized everything and what our priorities were, we were all in line, and it was, what was the word that we used over and over again? We wanted to make things equivalent among students, equity. We actually started like every meeting talking about equity, and it truly was that. So students need more hands-on skills, more opportunities to work together, to learn at their own pace. Our schools aren't the same as they used to be because our students aren't the same. The committee agreed that we need a new middle school in the north, but all of our students need to be prepared to grow. All of our schools need to attract new students and families to Judson ISD. We can be different and we can move forward together. I'm very excited to see what the future holds. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank all of our committee members who are here with us tonight. What we wanted to do at this time was Helen and I are both available for any questions that you all have that you would like to ask either of the committee of our process or of the propositions that are being brought to you as a recommendation tonight. So.
And if, Madam President, if you don't mind, I just wanted to give every board member the opportunity and just go in this order, ma'am, to answer any questions or even just hear a comment that a board member would like to make.
All right, then we'll start with Ms. King.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for this presentation, and I just thank you so much for the itemized list, for breaking that down into the different propositions. That really helped out. I know at our last meeting in March, you kind of told us what the different propositions were and that you were going to break those down, that itemized list. So thank you so much for doing that. That really helps out.
Good.
Ms. Eaton?
I was just wondering if hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that we might combine all of these to go for one bond, or are we going to just continue to make it be three? And if so, how are we going to approach that as far as the request?
That is a wonderful question, Ms. Eaton. So thank you so much for asking. So on page 10, the reason that it is all going up for one time. So if the board were to approve it tonight, what we're asking is for all three, Proposition A, Proposition B, and Proposition C. But because of the way the law is written, it requires us to put it into these three propositions, but it is a proposition that would be going out at the same time. Carr, would you like to add anything to that?
No, Dr. Ball, that was exactly what I was going to say.
Sorry, I beat you to it. I get excited when I know something.
Me too.
And one other question. So which election would this be included in? Because I know that we had received information a few months back that, you know, they had decided, someone decided, that certain items could only be included on ballots in certain months.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
you're absolutely correct. This would be on the November 2nd of this year election.
okay, so that gives us a reactionary time. Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Rodriguez?
So I had the privilege of serving on this committee alongside so many of the people that are here. And I think that something that stood out to me about this particular process was the community voice and the many perspectives that were represented on the committee to help bring us to a decision and a proposal. And that's something I'd like to see more of as we then continue to think about how are we not only thinking about what are the facility needs that we have in our district, but what is then the vision for academics and things that, you know, the things that don't cost money and aren't building things, but that are really serving the kids once we have the infrastructure in place for them to have a great education in Judson. And so I think that's like, I'm fully supportive of this. I was part of the process, but that's my next push is is how are we getting community voice in really meaningful ways, and that information is flowing back out into the community as well, not only about how their money is being spent, but the outcomes that is leading to, particularly on the academic side of things. I think we do a great job of letting the community know how we do at sports, and not always a very clear and transparent communication about the academics that are going on, and that's really what this money is for student learning. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Mr. Diaz?
Madam Chair, I'll reserve my comments to the end.
Mr. Macias?
I have to echo Ms. Rodriguez's comments. There was a lot of engagement from our community and very well appreciated. And the bond will address what was discussed in those meetings, which is very positive as well. I guess one thing that I wanted to clarify, just Dr. Ball, I didn't see in our board packet the other bonds, the ones we had in the past, as to where they are year to date. Was it not in the board book this time, or?
No, sir, it wasn't. Dr. Fields is out right now.
Okay, and I can respect that. So I just kind of want to mention the only potential weakness with this, because it's a great bond package. I think it's really going to help in many different areas. But the timeline in which these projects are completed, I think we probably have learned from our previous bond that when we had a $130 million infrastructure improvement, that sometimes it was difficult to get those projects completed because there were so many of them. So I'm hopeful that we have a good strategy going into this one, because it's actually just as large, if not larger, in what we're going to do. So the administration of it will be critical. And I think I can, just for some clarification, our project management of the bond is also different too. We've incorporated additional steps. Am I correct?
You're correct, sir. It's really a different way that when we brought on Helen Keaton, it's a different way in regards to how we look at the big picture, and we would be happy to share that. I'll make sure that Helen and I will work closely, and we'll make sure that it's ready for a presentation in August when we give our construction update. Instead of just submitting it, we'll actually do a presentation.
That'll be very helpful. Aside from that, I would like to also just indicate the committee has a vision even beyond this. So in a few years, there's continued development and growth, and having community input to help shape the vision for our district, I think we're at a very good point. So I'm very enthusiastic about this, and obviously the bonus is no tax increase, so it's a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned. But thank you for all the hard work.
Ms. Kanoy.
Thank you. I want to echo my colleagues. Thank you to everyone who participated as a member of this particular committee. Your input is important. We want to hear it. We want to hear from you, and we want to have that dialogue, excuse me, as we continue to move forward. I'm very excited about this. I know that times have been very rough, and so I'm very glad that we're going to be able to do something to truly improve the district and yet not cost our taxpayers any more money. And that's a big bonus as far as I'm concerned. So I do, again, want to say thank you so much to all of you who participated in this. I hope you'll stick with it and continue with this. I'm looking forward to see what other ideas come out and where we go from here. I think we've got a great beginning. Thank you.
And I, too, would like to echo what the others have said. The community engagement, Ms. Rodriguez, I believe, has really been strong for this particular bond. And I'd like to just say thank you to all of the members that are here tonight, and continue to serve on other committees. We always have a committee that you can work on, and we would like to see you come out and engage and help. That's what the constituents, that our constituents like to see. They want to know exactly what it is we are doing. They know everything that's going on athletically. We want them to know just as much about what's going on academically. And we love our athletics now. I'm going to tell you, I'm one of those in the first part of the line that is talking about athletics. But we need to be that same way with our academics. I want to thank you all both for your leadership on the committee. And I want you to know that I will support this. and I will do my part in helping the community to understand what the propositions are. And I will yield now to Mr. Diaz. Mr. Diaz, if you would like to say anything.
So I just want to thank the committee members. I know that when we were talking about these items, we were really led by the fact that we wanted to envision what Judson could look like, right, potentially, and that the bond mechanism was simply a lever to get us to that first step in creating that district that we're hoping for, but more importantly, that our scholars deserve, right? So thank you for that. I know that the committee is going to continue to meet because that.
Hello?
Yes,
Someone
ma'am.
talk?
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that the committee
I
is
can't
in.
hear a thing.
Can you hear me now?
Right now, Mr. Diaz is speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Okay.
Sorry.
Speaking to your microphone,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Diaz.
So I know that that work isn't complete yet. So, you know, as all of our colleagues have said, continue to join us in those conversations. As we were, for the members that weren't at the meetings, as we were thinking about the bond, we were really strategic in how do we ensure that we equitably address the issues that we can through this mechanism, but then do so, like our colleague from District 4 said, without a tax increase, right? Because we want to make sure that the infrastructure that we have is a percentage of good, you know, when compared to, that the infrastructure really captures what our students deserve, rather, and that we're able to help them shine, right? So we really focus on that student experience, on making sure that we can let the foundation in to the programmatic vision that we all have for it. So I want to thank everybody for that. Super excited about this. That's it. Thank you.
I do have one more question, Dr. Ball.
Yes, ma'am.
Will there be will this committee also be working after the election to make sure that there's oversight?
Yes, so even not just after the election, but we'll still continue to meet with these individuals because we want to make sure that they're armed with all the facts.
Okay.
And I know quickly, as good as social media might be, it's also really good at confusing and adding some misfacts. So we will continue to meet with this committee to make sure that they have the facts. And sometimes it's a lot easier to go to your neighbor or somebody that you're with and ask a question instead of coming to us. So we want to make sure that these individuals have that information. So we'll continue through, all the way through November, and then after November, continue the entire process.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr.
So
Ball,
at this
is the
time.
I'm sorry, quick question.
Yes.
Is this committee meeting as a bond committee now or staying
No,
as
sir.
a long range?
So we will have a separate committee also that might be some individuals that want to form what I would call a PAC, and that would not be this committee.
Okay.
That would be a different committee.
And do we have a schedule for the continued work that they're doing on this?
For this current committee,
Yes.
Growth and Planning, not yet. We were waiting for tonight to see which direction the board would go in, and we'll be working on that on Monday.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for this item?
I move that we approve the order calling for a bond election to be held by the Judson Independent School District, making provision for the conduct of a joint election, and resolve other matters incident and related to such election.
And do we have a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. We'll start with Mr. Diaz. Mr. Diaz, what say you?
Aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Ms. Canoyer?
Aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. King?
Tanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, yes.
Renee Pichelle, aye. And this motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, committee.
Madam President,
Yes,
may I
ma'am.
add one more thing?
Sure.
I was recently asked, Dr. Ball, what would you consider your state championship? I was recently asked that question, and I have to be honest and say this is the process. This is my journey to a state championship because that's how much this bond means to me. I know how important that middle school is to our community, and to get that for our community is extremely important. To get those gyms air conditioned is extremely important to me. And those are just two of the many, many things, because technology, absolutely. You know, there's so many things. But this state championship is going to need a huge team. So please stick with us so we can do this for our kids. So thank you, Madam President, and to the board for approving this, because this is something that is extremely important to me and to our district. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, committee. We will now move on to item 5B. Consider and take possible action regarding the approval of the personnel report, and we will do that in closed session. Item 6, discussion items, reports. 6A, Superintendent Report, Construction Update. Dr. Ball?
It is in our packet, but I will make sure, no, excuse me, it wasn't in our packet, I apologize. But I will make sure that we have not only in the packet, but a presentation for the August board meeting.
Okay. Item 6B, update on board advisory committees. Have there been any advisory committees? I've not had none, any. Okay. 6C, we'll do in closed I'm sorry. 6C is an update on board trainings, conferences, events, and consider future agenda items, requests by board members. And, well, I'll just start with Ms. King. Do you have anything for this item, ma'am?
No, I have nothing for this item.
Okay. Ms. Rodriguez?
I also do not have anything, thanks.
Ms. Canoyer?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Macias?
Yes, I'd like to put on the agenda for next month a discussion for a special ed audit. And we can ask for reports here too, right? Or are we just talking agenda items?
Agenda.
Okay. No, that's all for now. Thank you.
Mr. Diaz?
So just one request. Walsh Gallegos had a really good presentation on District of Innovation. I'm not familiar with our DOI plan, so I'd like to get a presentation on what our plan is. And Jameson's the one that led that. So that's the only item that I'd like to see.
Also, would you like that for August?
Yeah,
that is what you're requesting, is for August meeting?
Right. And Betty, if we could give both Mr. Macias and Mr. Diaz the forms, just so I make sure that I capture exactly what the board would like.
So that you can complete the forms for the agenda for next month. Ms. Eaton, do you have anything?
No.
And I don't either, other than we will be all attending, I believe, the TASB-TASA conference in September.
Yes, ma'am. But with your permission, I do have something related to board training.
Sure.
I gave everybody a packet. It starts off like this. So the board had asked me to inquire about training for leadership ISD.
Right.
So I received this packet this week, and it's a large packet, and it talks about the training service agreement, the projects, the term of the contract. It also talks about different trainings that Leadership ISD offers. It is the entire scope of what can be done in regards to training. In addition, we've already got some possible dates. I think it was extremely important that everybody's calendar gets booked extremely quickly. So not necessarily that you have to tell me today, but if you do tell me today, that's even better. But after speaking to Patricia, she recommends that, and I know she had a one-on-one conversation with each of you. She recommends that we begin with the board vision and values training. In the packet, and I apologize that it is not numbered, but it should be page 3. It talks about it being a 16-hour board and superintendent training, vision and values for balanced governance, data dive for racial conscious decision making. I won't read it all, but there's still several bullets left. So I would like to know, if not today, then maybe at the August board meeting, if the board would like to pursue this still. If yes, you're in agreement with the board vision and values training, and if the days that I attached on the first sheet would work for everybody. I think that it's important that if we're going to do this, all of the board members commit. We could go back and forth with training dates, but I've checked with the consultant and she is available on these dates. So the sooner we can lock them in with her, of course, the better. And I just wanted to open up the conversation if the board would like me to look into something further in regards to Leadership ISD or the training, or to give me further direction as how you would like for me to proceed with this. Do we
Dr.
have
Paul,
to?
this is Ms. Eaton. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is Patricia? Because I have not spoken with her.
Okay, I will contact her. Patricia works for Leadership ISD, and she shared with me just today that she spoke with each board member. So I will definitely reach out to her, Ms. Eaton, and let her know that I just found out from you that you did not get, that she did not get in touch with you. So I will definitely.
No, ma'am, she did not.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate you telling me that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I am assuming that any other board member would tell me right now if they did not. Okay.
I did.
Okay.
We were all sent an email and asked to call her.
Okay.
And she gave us her number, and she wanted to interview each of us. And I thought that we had all done that.
Yes, ma'am. I'll follow up with that, Ms. Eaton.
So, quick question. So the board
If she
vision,
could just have my Gmail account until we resolve our issues.
Oh, the thing happened months before, or at least a month or two before our email went down. This happened back in the spring. I wish I could remember the exact dates, but it happened right after, I would say, the board elections maybe, or right around that time frame.
Okay, but if she contacts me now, could she please do it on my Gmail account?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ball.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Mr. Diaz, what were you going to say?
so her recommendation is that we start off with board vision and values training.
Yes,
That one's 16 hours.
yes.
And then the subsequent trainings like Team of 8, leadership team training, those will come after?
She would like to evaluate afterwards how we do on that training and then make a recommendation if we proceed exactly the way it's written with leadership team training and then going into the transformation work, coaching hours, or take a different path.
Okay. But we are going to opt in for all of these, just the schedule will depend on her assessment of us.
That is completely up to the board.
Okay.
If the board says, no, you wish not to, that is completely up to the board.
And were we talking about that, discussing that today?
You may discuss it today, or we could bring it back.
Let's just discuss it today.
Yeah.
We're here. So I think the original intent of this all was for us to get a comprehensive experience with an organization that was thinking and performing outside of the box in order for us to get outside of the box results and really lean into the discomfort of governance training to stack on top of everything that TASB has provided us. Everything that I've seen here, I like. In speaking to Patricia, the organization is very thoughtful on how they go about their training and what they offer. And we cannot be the district that we envision if we as board members and leaders, servant leaders rather, don't invest in ourselves and become the board members that we should be. So with that said, I'd like to opt into everything. That way we really delve deep into this and make it sustainable and kind of, again, lean into that discomfort.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the cost, just so I can reaffirm, when I'm looking at, is it page 3 or 4? Or is it $20,000 that we're going to pay her? It says here we agreed to pay the consultant $20,000. I guess it's page.
It's under
4.
5 compensation, for compensation, yes, sir.
So $20,000, but that would mean that we would then take every item, those 4 bullet points. Are there additional bullet points in back? Yeah, there is. Okay, coaching. And so Mr. Diaz is recommending that we do all of it. Is that correct? Is that what I heard you say? Yes, okay. I'm a big advocate for investing in board governance. I think it's important. I will say to my colleagues that I've learned a great deal from attending CUBE and NALEO and MASBA. I mean, there are so many different avenues to obtain this training. So having to think outside the box is very important. Is this very similar to what Lone Star governance would be if Region 20, or is it different?
Sir, I have to be honest and tell you that at the very beginning, I have not used Leadership ISD. I haven't been involved in their training, so I don't want to speak about something that I don't truly know about.
About Leadership ISD?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I will tell you my conversation with her was poignant, and it was direct, and I think she's eager to get us all in discussing things. So I might not be as gung-ho, but I certainly am open and receptive to moving forward and doing what we can to make us a stronger team.
And just for some background, Mr. Macias, we did hear from Lone Star Governance. We heard from Region 20 as well. So all of the different places came and did a proposal to the board. Unfortunately, it was right before you were elected to the board, I believe, and we as a board made the decision to go with Leadership ISD. And so that's why this is being brought to us as like a standalone rather than like, oh, and here are all the proposals. And they did have similar offerings. My understanding is that the governance training is somewhat similar to between Leadership ISD and Lone Star Governance. I think the thing that made the difference for me in that decision is the focus around racial equity that Leadership ISD named very explicitly, more so than some of the other, I don't want to call them vendors exactly, but providers, I guess. So that, I think that was a summary. I can't speak for everybody, but that was what helped drive my decision.
Well, thanks. I was going to ask you what was the differentiator, but you've shared, so thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Kanoy?
Yes, I'm ready to move forward with all of this training. I think all it can do is help us acknowledge our biases and see how we can work together to understand where each of us is coming from, so that we can pull together and truly make good decisions for the district. So I'm for it.
Ms. King, do you have a comment?
I'm just excited and ready to get started as well.
Right.
And so these proposed dates, these are basically the dates for us to pretty much choose from.
No, we would be doing all these dates.
Okay. The 2 days, okay. For each, okay.
It says for the first 2 training sessions.
Yes,
the very
Dr.
top.
Ball, she's only asking for
One of
2.
those.
But it's 16 hours.
But I think this is to pick the initial dates, and
Right,
then we
that's
go
all.
from there. Right. So it wouldn't be all of these, we'd be
Not right now.
choosing
Just one.
one of these 2 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
The way I understood it, if we want to proceed with all of it, we could lock down these dates and then make sure we would know. Oh, sorry, excuse me. We would know that these dates are the dates that we're going to continue with all our trainings. So we would start off with the board visioning and values training. Then we complete that, she evaluates that, and then we continue with training. So this would allow us to lock these dates in and then to continue. Unless I'm misunderstanding it, I will double check with her.
Would you please?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just, because I think these are all 4-hour blocks. Okay, yeah, just check with her.
Okay. But will all these dates, let's say she says, yes, I can come all these dates, would all these dates work? Or y'all want to say, for right now, only Dr. Ball lock in August 23rd through the 24th?
I would like to ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Ball, is Ms. Eaton able to see what
No,
we have?
ma'am. I got
So
this.
she needs to hear these dates.
Yes, ma'am. The dates, Miss Eaton, and we will mail you this.
Okay.
But just so you know, it's August 23rd and the 24th.
5 to 9 p.m. on each of them.
Yes. September 7th through the 8th, September 13th and 14th.
And again, for each of them, Ms. Eaton, it's from 5 to 9 p.m.
Okay. What day of the week is that?
The first one, August 23rd and 24th, that's a Monday and Tuesday. The second one, September 7th and 8th, that's a Tuesday and Wednesday. And the third one, September 13th and 14th, is a Monday and Tuesday, all from 5 to 9 p.m. Dr. Ball, I'm available for all of these.
You know I am too.
And the reason I think that it's all 3 dates is because if you did it, it's 6 hours each one, and then yes, it adds up to 18, but she's probably given us a little bit of a cushion if we start maybe at 5:30 or end a little bit. So that's why I think, but I will double check. I will certainly double check.
And I guess just have Betty send us an email and
Yes,
for
ma'am, of course.
clarification.
Her and I are not scheduled to talk until Monday,
Okay.
so right after that.
Okay.
Any other questions that y'all would like for me to get clarification with her? Miss Eaton? Okay, no problem.
No, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. No, ma'am.
This is just discussion. Okay, let's move on. We are now going into closed session at 7:32 p.m. pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussing personnel, the personnel report, and updates including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. 7B, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, attorney consultation regarding legal issues related to potential, anticipated, or pending construction litigation and construction issues. Again, the time is 7:33, and we are now moving into closed session.
Ready when y'all are.
The time now is 8:27. We are back into open session. We'll move on to item 8A, consider and take possible action regarding the personnel report and updates including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the personnel report as presented in closed session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we've lost Ms. Eaton, is that correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I'll start with Ms. King. Ms. King?
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Mr. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. That motion passes unanimously. If there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 8:28 p.m. No action was taken on item B or C. Thank you. And this meeting is adjourned at 8:28.